Great stuff. Right. So have you come curious with questions today? I hope you have questions for our entrepreneur and business professional. Let's know how we can get nice and wealthy.
Well, for me, it's just to know what your organization is about, really. And
marvelous.
Just to know more about it and what you offer and how I can help. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, we're always keen for people who want to offer their services.
Yeah.
Yeah, or support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you contacted Bebe?
Yes, I have a few minutes ago. That's our guest speaker for today. I have a few minutes ago. I can try again. That's our guest speaker. Yeah.
Checking with her.
I'll just Okay, you're checking with that. That's okay.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, that's fine. For people who have not, we'll just give it 2 minutes. And for people who've never joined, who wants to just know a little bit more like Angela, we'll just say a little bit, maybe a few minutes about CAN and all that, yeah. Because that, just like you said, that, that so many things that CAN is doing at the moment, and you may be able to, there may be a way that you could support CAN, contribute one way or the other. Hi, Fore, how are you? Thank you for joining.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm fine.
Good afternoon, Fore. Good to see you. Yeah, we'll be taking off in a few moments. Yeah.
Wonderful. Sounds great.
Okay. Actually, are you making contact with Bibi? Okay, we have a few people that just admitted. Yes, Angela, this is you're all welcome. I think I'll just give it a start now while we, we're letting more people in and all that. You're all welcome to today's forum. This is the forum for the Caribbean and African Health Network. And basically, you may just want to know, for those who have never heard about CAN. CAN is the Caribbean and African Health Network, and basically it was established maybe about three years ago. It's a charity and it's a not-for-profit organization, and it was established to actually look at and try to eradicate the health inequalities in the Caribbean and African community. I mean, it started from someone's PhD on having identified that there are inequalities when it comes to the health of the Caribbean and African, but a lot of people showed interest in the project, and we are where we are today. I'm just providing this information for those who have never joined. Angela wants to know a little bit. There's more information on the internet, and I'm happy to kind of connect on a one-to-one to provide more information about what we do. This is just one of the forums of CAN and all that. They're into a lot of things around health, around anything that would empower the Caribbean and African community, around things that will provide us with information, with skills that we need. There's a lot going on about health and all that. A lot going on about health. There's a weekly forum where all they talk about is health. There are other forums for general empowerment and things like that. There are other forums for young people. There are forums for connecting with the wider community and all that. So basically, I don't know if if I've been able to provide some information to you, Angela, and all that. This is just one. Today we are having one of our platform. And this platform, we try to have it every other week. We provide one form of information, or we bring one form of guest or the other onto the platform to talk about something that will empower our community, you know, even if it's just information. Sometimes we're just kind of there, just kind of providing each other with information and support. And we welcome people from all background and all that. Like today, we're bringing in someone who is just going to be, her name is Bebe Clement, as you can see from the invite, and she's going to just be talking to us about how to start small businesses, how to increase our wealth, and maybe a little bit about how it impacts on our health. Because one of the things we try to do with CAN is that because it was set up based on identifying health inequalities in the parameters to which they measure health. Do you understand? Like, and I think she just noticed that in the system, you know, if I should use the word, a Black person having maybe a cardiovascular illness, and another person, maybe a Caucasian, that it shouldn't be the same parameters. It shouldn't be because one is taking paracetamol, two paracetamol works for everyone. And because they were using the same parameters, it had consequences on our health and all that. And so that's one of the things she identified during her PhD project. But CAN has grown wider than that. It's grown bigger. It's talked about a lot of things. I remember Inko Seni being on one of the platform. Talking about, she has, I think, another organization and all that. And I'm sure on that platform that day, she gained a lot for her own organization, because one of the things that CAN does, again, is to support community-based organization. We've supported, when it comes to looking for funding, we've supported community-based organization or smaller organizations, you know, with information, with funding, with supporting and funding application, supporting them to also build a structure around themselves. So these are some of the things we do and doing every day. So Angela, I don't know if I've taken part of Aisha's time.
It's fine. I'm sure she doesn't mind.
No, I don't mind. No, Bumi's the champion spokesperson for CAN. She could literally fill out a day's seminar on all the good things CAN gets up to. So, yeah, I'm far more concise when I speak. So it's better for her to be the person. Right. To be honest, we might need to move our schedule around a bit. I'm sure BB's probably having some technical issues going on. Can I just double check? Did everyone receive the invite from one of our WhatsApp groups, or was it by word of mouth? How did you hear about this happening today?
Sorry, just to interrupt a bit. While you are going on, you may find that I'm off just to try and contact BB and know what's happening. So I will be muting myself.
No worries. So
like
yes.
me, I got the information from the trumpet, because I'm one of the member of the trumpet in Manchester. Although I'm not living in Manchester, I'm living in Huddersfield, but I've been with them for long.
The trumpets, like, I've literally never heard of that before. I'm too ill-informed.
Yeah, trumpet is an organization that provide information about the media.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Trumpet. Okay. And are they specific for our community, or is this something that is just sort of?
It's for the communities, just to empower people too. It's not for me. I'm not the owner of the trumpet, but I was invited to the group, and it was, that is the place where I got the information about your own now. CAN.
Oh, fantastic! I'm happy. I never know where people get our invites, because I'm seeing, I think about, maybe there's only 2 people that I recognize have been in our previous talk. So I'm curious. What about you? Is it Fore?
Fore, yeah.
Fore.
Yeah. I actually heard about CAN in this meeting from Mrs. Bumi that just went now.
Oh, right. Do you go to church together, or where do you know her from?
My family lives in Wigan, and so we kind of family friends.
Right. Oh, fabulous. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Did anyone get the invite via text?
Yeah, I got mine from the PMC WhatsApp group. That's the Praying Mothers Club.
That's amazing. So, like, I've not heard of any of these avenues before.
Okay.
just goes to show where the messages get out. So have you actually, I know Angela's mentioned that she's here more to learn about what Khan is doing and what this project is about and how she could possibly assist us. But is anyone here actually specifically for sort of business information or wealth building information at all?
I mean, the financial part does seem interesting, you know, the different aspects. I mean, I'm not old enough to obviously have all these avenues open, but it seemed interesting. But hearing more about Khan, I'm interested in what the organization does now that I've read a bit about it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you know what, while we're waiting on people to appear and we've got people turning up, I'll be happy to go into more detail as to what we've got going on. So Bumi and I specifically work on the Wigan project for Khan. And on our project, they happen to have gotten a pocket of funding that specifically is targeting Wigan, which is a collaboration that's come through from the Wigan Council themselves. And so that's been quite nice because then we've been able to provide a focused effort to the Wigan area. And we've already got a handful of community groups here. So we're trying to empower those community groups to be stronger in their position. So for example, we've got the Guinean community group over here. We have another one called Ekai Empowerment, which is run by a friend of mine, which focuses on providing support to single mothers, as well as people who may be in more disadvantaged positions. And through the work that we are doing with Khan, those two groups are now in a position where they're most likely going to be getting funding pretty soon, and that can help with their actual work. They're now official organizations, so they can either be like a community interest company, or we've got one of them that's going to be a charity. And we're hoping that through showing that there is a pathway, more people who have interest will create their groups, be able to hone in on the support that we have. So that's one section of what we've already kicked off since we started the project. Moving onwards, we've got, as Bumi mentioned before, we've got the bi-weekly talks. Hello. I can hear someone. I think it's Bumi. You're kind of frozen. If you're wondering, you're kind of frozen, Bumi. I'm sure we'll get you back. We've got the bi-weekly talks that we're doing. So the last one we had was based on teaching preventative lifestyle measures to help people avoid chronic illnesses, such as obesity, diabetes, sort of chronic back pain and stuff like that. And we had a GP who came through, who's from our community, who came through and gave a lot of advice and practical tips as to ways you could live your life so that you didn't end up having these illnesses, or possibly, if you already have them, even reverse some of them through changing your lifestyle rather than relying on medicine, which very much in our community, medicine tends to be hailed. You know, like if you have a headache, it's almost like as soon as you've got a headache, there's no go and rest a bit, go and drink some water, maybe you need to relax, go for a walk, get some fresh air. Rarely did that come up. Straight away it's like, go get yourself some Panadol, go and get yourself some paracetamol. And it's sort of trying to get people to fall out of that habit of relying on medicine. So that was a very popular talk. It was very good, really informative. The session before that one, we had a mental health practitioner. So he's a psychiatrist, and he came through and actually, again, provided a lot of advice about how he had seen people from our community, the African and Caribbean community, how their mental health has been affected, especially by COVID-19 and a lot of the lockdown restrictions. And he also provided practical tips. As to how we can spot mental illness in other people and in ourselves. So one of the big lessons we got from him, for example, was that what he found in our community was that our people didn't recognize sort of regular neurosis as a problem. So someone who had sort of like mild stress, mild anxiety, or someone who just wasn't in themselves, we didn't consider it as a problem until the person got to the point where they were possibly talking to themselves or really confused or had a full-on psychosis and mental breakdown. And so he was really encouraging to get us to take care of ourselves, he also provided direct tips as to things that we could do. So those have been quite popular, from specifically the Wigan project of the Khan organization. And now we've got Black History Month coming up, which we're quite excited about over here, because it provides some sort of fuel for building up our content and engaging with our community. And so right now, I'm unsure as to how many people are actually from Wigan on the call right now. We're hoping to hopefully have a weekly theme. And each week we're looking to do like a 10 to 15 minute interview with people from the community, certain groups. So for example, the community groups, we're hoping to speak to them and get them to speak on their experiences of living here in Wigan, talk about being from back home. And hopefully that just helps put a face to our community, because we're quite separated. Since I've started on this project, I've suddenly gotten really conscious seeing Black people outside, even though I've lived here for about 3 years now. Just because I'm now in this space and I'm trying to find Black people to recruit to things, suddenly I've got like a Black person radar and I'm spotting them everywhere in Wigan. So this is fantastic for us. So we're hoping to get to the point where we've built up a forum. So if you have any questions or if you're worried about anything, you can think to contact us, and we'll be able to signpost people if there are already services available. And if there is no service available, we'll be able to create that service. What we have found is that our people are not thriving in this space, not living their fullest life. She has come online. I've just admitted her into the room. I was hoping she...
yes, and she does.
Yeah,
and she sent her apologies and all that. There's been like a mix up of the time. Yeah. So
no
I'd just leave you to hello. An apology about this. There's just been some mix up and all that. I know Bibi very well. She's usually a very prompt. She's always, not just usually, a very prompt person. I know her very well, so I can say that for her. There's just been a mix up about the time and all that. In fact, hello? Yeah. In fact, if I must mention, because of the mix-up in time, she's had to park her car, and she's basically just joining us from somewhere. Bibi, I hope you're safe wherever you've parked, and all that. Yeah. So I'd hand over to Aisha to take it from here. Yeah.
No worries. While Bibi gets her bearings and sorts her things out. So today's main... I'm so sorry about this.
Sorry.
My son has like no reasoning at all. He just doesn't see that I'm doing something. But yeah, while she's getting her bearings, today's main goal is hopefully to spark something within you with regards to thinking of alternative and diverse income streams, and the kind of mentality that you require to do that. It is possible, especially in light of how COVID-19 has really altered the way people are living. It's so important that you recognize that in order to sustain yourself at these kind of challenging times, having a variety of ways to bring in income into your life is vital. And a lot of people, we don't realize it, even in the everyday lives. A lot of the people that I used to work with, I'm not in work right now, but the people that I used to work with, it wasn't unusual for people to either have some sort of property, some sort of Forex trading that they were doing, have some sort of investment in a local company. And it's don't have to be a business conglomerate or anything like that in order to build yourself side. Some people like to call it a side hustle, and I think a lot of the time we do end up with the impression that when you have a side hustle, it has to be Avon or Juice Plus or those sort of established avenues, which have been lucrative for people. But Bibi's here to inform us on something that's a bit more holistic, looking at your own skills and the things that you can use to self an income. So B, if you are ready, please feel free to unmute yourself and come online. If not, let me know if you need a couple more minutes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, my utmost apologies. Utmost apologies. I totally misread the timings that you sent me. So I am so sorry. We're actually driving from Nottingham, from Sheffield, on the way back to London at the moment. So I am so sorry, everybody. I do apologize. So I'm going to do the best I can under the circumstances.
No worries. We have faith.
Good. You're going to need it. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bebe Clement, as you've probably heard. I guess you've done all the introductions. I'm not going to go through all that. So let's jump right into what we need to speak about today. And as Aisha said, really what I'd like to do first of all is to deal with the mindset. Because I find that showing people how to start a business is not really that much of an issue. What is really important is that we have the right kind of mindset in order to do it. Because if you are not convinced of the reasons why you must do it, if you don't get a handle on the reasons why you must do it, you're less likely to be successful at the how. So for the first few minutes, I'm just going to talk about the reasons why. And I think, just like you said, COVID has actually helped me in my job in this area. It really has. Because I've been banging on about this, developing different income streams for a few years now. And people were not always convinced. But I think COVID has helped me convince people that, one, the whole concept of a job for life or job security, that's gone. That has totally gone. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of mindset you need to have in order to be successful as an entrepreneur or by developing different income streams. Now, of course, as you know, to develop different income streams, you don't necessarily have to go into business. There are loads of other things you can do. You can invest in property. You can invest in shares and bonds and things like that. You can invest in other people's businesses. You don't necessarily have to start a business. But because small businesses is my space, that's the area I'm going to concentrate on. But first of all, let's look at why do we need, what is the necessity of us having to have different income streams? Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about how a capitalist system works, because that's really what we're in. In the UK, as in most countries nowadays, we practice a degree of capitalism. We don't have a mixed economy, we practice a degree of capitalism. And it is important that we understand what works in a capitalist system. How does that system work? Because if we don't understand how the system works, we're more likely to become casualties of that system. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that. I would encourage you to take notes, because I think that will help you. You can review them and it will help you. Can you hear me properly so far?
We can hear you just fine. Thank you so much. We're taking notes.
Okay. Right. So what is a capitalist system? A capitalist system is what is a social economic system whereby the factors of production, and they are land, labor, and capital, are privately owned. Please note that, underline that, privately owned and controlled, underline controlled, by a very small group of people. I'm going to say that again so you get it. A capitalist system is a social economic system. Social means people. Economic, of course, means money and finance. A social economic system whereby the factors of production, land, labor, and capital, are privately owned and controlled by a very small group of people. Now, why are those important? The factors of production are the things that, the ingredients that any economy needs to do well. Now, politicians will have you believe that the wealth of this nation is up for grabs for anybody that can work hard. That is a lie. Please don't listen to that. The wealth of this nation, as indeed any nation, belongs to those who own the factors of production, who own and control the factors of production. The people who own the land, and in land, please include property. People who own land, control the capital and the labor, those are the people who become wealthy. So ownership is really important. It's really that simple. Those are the people who become wealthy. Now you will notice that this has nothing to do with academic achievement. Nothing to do with that. Which is why you can have 3, 4, 5 degrees and a master's and a doctorate and still come to retirement age and have nothing to show for the last 30 years of your life. Because it has nothing to do with that. Those who understand how to control those factors are people who become wealthy. Now, why is ownership so important? It's important because ownership in a capitalist society translates into profit. All right? It is ownership that translates into profit. So let's see the way a capitalist system works and why it is necessary as an employee that you have different income streams. And can I just say this as an aside? The average millionaire has at any given time 7 different sources of income on average. So there is no way that somebody can be dependent on a single source of income, i.e. your salary, and do well financially. There's no way. Even if you're being paid a lot of money, your desires will grow in accordance to your income. And by that, for example, I mean, if you were, let's say you were earning £50,000, and then suddenly your salary went up to £80,000, your needs and your wants will increase in accordance. That 2-bedroom flat that you're managing will suddenly seem too small, and you will want a 4-bedroom mansion. That car that you've been driving happily for the last 5 years will suddenly seem beneath you, and you'll want to buy a new Jag or a new Range Rover. And so at the end of the day, you are in the same position in real terms. Okay? Now, here are some of the tricks of a capitalist society that you must be aware of and you must avoid. Don't become victim to. In a capitalist society, there are 3 types of people. You have capitalists, and again, please write this down. You have the working class, and you have the middle class. So let's deal with the working class. The working class are people who have lower paid jobs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Work is work, so there's nothing wrong with that. So you'd have people like your cleaners, security guys, perhaps care assistants, those kind of people in the working class. In the middle class, you would have professionals, lawyers, doctors, accountants, senior managers. You have those. And then you have the capitalists. Now, the capitalists are the smart people. They are the people who understand how the system works, and they just use the system to best advantage. Those are the ones that own. They own lands, they own property, they own business, they own shares, they own bonds, they own. The middle class and the working class are in the same boat. I know the middle class always think that they're doing better than the working class, but they're not doing much better, to be honest. They're in the same boat. The middle class and the working class are the fodder for the system to make it keep working for the capitalists. Now, how do the capitalists, you remember I spoke about controlling the system. How does the capitalist control and the working class or the employee? Can anybody tell me what the greatest resource in life is? What do you think it is? Anybody can answer.
People?
Human resources, isn't it?
What's your greatest resource in life?
It's capital.
No. Another guess.
Time.
That's it. Time. And I'm going to give you a free book. I have a free book that I'll send to you for answering that correctly. Time is your greatest resource in life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, what's your name? Hello?
It was over.
My name is Ovo.
Okay, all right. So there's a free book coming to you. Once I get your details from Aisha, I'll send that to you. Now,
Thank you.
time is your greatest resource in life, and that's because you can't get it back. You can get money back. You can lose money. Most millionaires have gone bankrupt at least 1 or 2 times, so you can get money back. You can even have a really bad health issue and still get your health back. But time is your greatest resource. You can't get that back. Now, when we go to work, what do? We exchange our time for money. Your employer says to you, Bibi, you must be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning, no later than that. You must work through till 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, you can take a 1-hour break, no more than that. And then you must come back and you must work until 5 o'clock. And then you can go home. And then sometimes I'm going to ask you to come in on the weekends to do some extra work. And if you are sick, you dare not be sick for more than 5 days, because if you're sick for more than 5 days in a year, I'm going to make sure that HR makes your life hell. So you're not going to have enough time to recuperate. And if you're going to have a holiday, you can't have more than 28 days in a year. Whoever is able to do that to you controls your greatest resource in life. They control your time. And your time is what you need. This time that capitalists have. It is time that buys you the ability to think. It is time that buys you the ability to plan. It is time that buys you the ability to strategize. It is time that buys you the ability to carry out your strategy by way of building wealth. It is time that gives you the ability to recuperate well when you're ill, so you can come back in full force. All these things are a factor of time. And when you are working for somebody else and you are not using that time to build your own dream, they are using you to build their dream. Does everybody follow that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Are we good with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's one thing. So the rich people, capitalists, and please write this down, the working class exchange their time for money. Capitalists exchange their money for time. Anything that can buy a rich person time, he doesn't care how much it costs him, he'll pay for it. Now, when I first of all started speaking, I had products. So, I'd have like my book or teachings on things that I've done, maybe like the psychology of selling. I put them on DVDs or on CDs, and I'd go and sell them. When I speak, I'd have a stand at the event and I'd sell them. And I couldn't understand why it was that I would go and speak to the middle class and the working class, and I would price my products accordingly. So maybe the DVD would be £10 or £15, and hardly anybody would buy. And I would be asked to speak at a corporate event, and I would triple the fee for that product. So maybe, for instance, I have a product on how to start a small business, and that goes for $29.99. When I'd go and speak to the corporate world, I would actually triple the cost of it. So I'd sell it maybe $59.99, something like that. And I would be sold out. I couldn't understand, how is it that I could sell it at 3 times the price for a certain group of people and I'd be sold out, and I would sell it 3 times less the price for another group of people, and I'd come back with practically a full box of products. But as I began to speak to capitalist people, I began to understand how they think. And they would say to me, Bibi, if somebody else has spent their time to go and get the knowledge and the information that we need to take us to the next step of our business, we will pay for it. It doesn't matter how much it costs. That is why you will find people who will spend thousands of pounds for a weekend seminar. I have a friend of mine who is a property developer, very successful property developer. And he said to me, Bibi, when I first of all started the property development, I went on a weekend course that cost me £12,000. £12,000. He said, but at that time I was so broke, I had no money, and my career was going nowhere, and I didn't know what else to do. But I believed that I could make it as a property developer, but I needed the information. So me and my wife, we put our credit cards together. I went and borrowed money from everybody I could borrow money for, and it cost me £12,000 for a weekend's information. He said, for the first 6 months, I didn't sell a single house. And I thought, oh my God, I've wasted £12,000. I'm in trouble. He said, but after 6 months, I sold my first house and I made £60,000 profit on my first house. And that, of course, paid for the £12,000 that I paid for that information many times over. Is how capitalists think. If you're going to do well financially, you have to start thinking like that. Poor people, or the working class and the middle class, exchange their time for money. Rich people or capitalists exchange their money. Think about in a capitalist society, there are three types of people. There are producers, there are distributors, please write that down, and there are consumers. So let's talk about the three, so that we make sure that we're in the right group. So what is a producer? A producer is somebody who creates something or makes something that adds sufficient value to somebody's life such that they're willing to put their hand in their pocket and pay for it. That's a producer. Now, for those of you who are planning to go into business, please hear me. Don't go into business because you think you have something to sell. Go into business because you have something that you know somebody wants to buy, and they're not the same thing. So a producer is somebody who has created something that somebody wants to buy. It adds value to somebody's life. And the way in which you know whether your product adds value to somebody's life is you ask yourself two questions. One, what problem does this product solve? Two, what need does it meet? If you can answer those two questions, you're more than likely to do well in business. If you can't answer those two questions and you're planning to go into business with a product, I would strongly suggest that you look for another product or service. So that's the first thing, a producer. I am a producer. What do I produce? I produce information, I produce knowledge, and I communicate it to people in such a way that it adds value to their life. Pretty much what I'm doing to you today. Some of you, after you listen to what I have to say today, will go and start a business or develop another income stream. That adds value to your life because it sets you on your journey to financial freedom. So people are willing to pay for it. When I do a seminar or a webinar, people are willing to pay for it. The next group of people are distributors. What is a distributor? A distributor differs from a producer because it doesn't make anything. They don't create anything. All they do is they bring together the supply and the demand. So for instance, one of my husband's clients owns a cash and carry, an African cash and carry. So he sells African food to the Africans in the UK. Of course, he doesn't make rice, he doesn't make beans, he doesn't make all those kind of things. He just imports them. So he brings the supply and the demand together. So that's a distributor. I am a distributor. What do I distribute? Again, pretty much what I'm doing today. I'm bringing the knowledge and the information that you need, and you are the demand. I'm bringing the supply, you are the demand. The third group of people are consumers. Now, all of us are consumers because we have to eat, we have to wear clothes, we have to live somewhere. We're all consumers. But consumers, in the narrower sense that I'm going to give it, are people who have certain characteristics that work against them in relation to their attempt to become financially free. And I'm going to tell you what they're like. And I encourage you to have a look and see if you have any of those characteristics. And if you do, you may need to deal with them if you're serious about your quest to become financially free. So here we go. Consumers are people who are always in personal debt. They have a lot of personal debt. Now, let me say this. Anybody can get into personal debt. So that's not what I'm saying. There's not a problem with that. But I'm talking about personal debt by way of a lifestyle. They max out their credit cards. They don't service them. They owe a lot of people money. Doesn't bother them. The money that they spend, they live beyond their means. The money that they spend is not money that they invest in something that produces more money. They just spend it on a high consumption lifestyle. So in other words, they look the part of being successful, but they're not. They just look the part. They're always dripping in designer wear. They always have to buy the latest Birkin bag, that kind of thing. Now, let me say this. If you are going to be financially free or financially successful in a capitalist society, you must, not perhaps, not maybe, not if, you must be found in at least 2 of the 3 categories I've just given you. You must. Because the system is designed that those are the people that do well financially. The system is designed that way. So if you are not a producer and you're not a distributor, or you're just a consumer, it is unlikely that you will do well financially. And I'll show you the reason why. Does anybody know what the CPI is? What it stands for?
Nope.
Okay, but we hear it all the time on the news. And if you're going to be financially free, you must understand what it is. It stands for Consumer Price Index. And it's a measure of inflation. The next time you listen to the any financial segment on the news, you probably hear about it, Consumer Price Index. Now, it's important that you know its significance for your life. The Consumer Price Index, this is how they measure it. So every month, what the government does is they take a measure of the basic cost of living, the basic cost of living, how much you need to basically just survive, just to keep ticking. So they take a basket full of products and goods and services, and they check how much it costs. So for instance, they might say, okay, Bebe lives in a 2-bedroom flat in Woolwich. She pays £800 rent. So they put rent, £800. And in the morning she gets up and she gets out of her bed that cost her £300 from IKEA. So they say bed, £300. And then she goes to the kitchen and she has her breakfast, and she has a breakfast of toast, two slices of toast, marmalade, and butter. So they say a loaf of bread will cost her £1.50. Marmalade will cost her £1. Butter will cost her another £1. So they add up all the basic things that we need to keep surviving in life. And they come up with a figure. And they come up with a percentage of how much it costs. Now, the current CPI, I was checking yesterday, the current CPI was 2% in the UK, 2%. So what they do is they work from year to year. So the Consumer Price Index from, what are we in? This is August. Okay, so the figures for August are from August last year to July this year. That's how it goes. That's how they release the figures. So it's currently 2%. Now, what does this mean? Stay with me. What does this mean for you and I? What was your last, you don't have to answer this, but answer this for yourself. What was your last wage increase? For many people, it was 0. No wage increase. For those of you who are lucky, maybe 1%, 2% at max. Now, so let's say for sake of argument, your last wage increase was 1%. And the cost of living is 2%, which means whatever it costs you to live today is 2% more expensive than it was this time last year. And your salary increase is only 1%. That means in real terms that you are already coming in from behind. You're already in a deficit. You are already in a minus by 1%. That is why when you get your salary on the 30th of the month, by the 5th of the next month, you can't understand what's happened to the money. You don't know what you've done with the money. You look at yourself and you haven't bought anything expensive, but you're broke again and you don't understand why. That is why, because the system is designed that way, which is why you cannot afford to be dependent on a single source of income, i.e. your salary. Because the system is designed in such a way that you cannot become financially free. Not even because you're living above your means, not even because you're extravagant, but that is the way the system is designed. So I'd like you to make this declaration after me. Please unmute everybody, because this is something we're all going to have to say together. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. I can no longer single-mindedly serve my employer without taking active steps
without taking active steps
to create,
create,
grow,
grow,
and protect my own wealth.
and protect my own wealth.
All right. Can we say that again once more with utmost conviction? And thank God for COVID-19 that has made it necessary for us to see what's happening. Here we go. I can no longer single-mindedly serve my employer without taking active steps
to create,
grow,
grow,
and protect my own wealth.
My own wealth.
All right, thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause for that one.
Well done, everyone. Thank you so much for getting involved.
All right, so that's my introduction. That's my my way of getting you to get into the right mindset for building wealth for yourself. It is no longer a matter of if, perhaps, maybe. This is something we have to do. We have to do. There is no job security anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We are never going to return to life before it was prior to COVID. That day is gone. It's gone. And we have to get with the program that things have changed. And if we want to make sure that we're not going to become a casualty of the future, things are happening in the future. Let's not even talk about AI. COVID alone has shown us that things are changing. If we add to that AI, man, a lot of the jobs that we think that we are involved in are going to go over the next 5 to 10 years. So we have to change our mindset in relation to wealth and financial freedom. So that's the first section. Aisha, do you want me to continue, or do you want to take a break or take questions? And then I can then go into the ABCs of how to start a new business.
I think it'll be a good time to just take a couple of questions, see if people have had anything come up, and give you a break from speaking for so long.
Okay.
Considering we've just sort of like, we've just got you almost unawares. So I'll just put it out to everyone. We'll just do about 5 minutes. It'd be great to get 1 or 2 questions, either feedback, something that's just come up in your mind from what Bebe has said to us, because there is so much information that has been shared. So please don't be shy. Give us any feedback, any comments, or any questions that's come up for you.
Okay. Can I speak now?
Absolutely.
I understand all what you discussed with us, but it's not easy in UK. It's not like Africa. You know, in Africa, it's easy for you to do 1 or 2 things together at the same time. But in UK, it's not easy like that. I've been in UK for 34 years, and I got a lot of qualifications, but you can't compare the way you can think on business-wise in Africa with the UK. Talk of your universal credit, talk of your benefit, talk of this, so thing. When they see you that you are doing something, they will withdraw you from one thing or the other. But in Africa, there's nothing like that. You can do 5 things at the same time, and it's easy for you to make it. The problem we have nowadays is that we don't have a good leaders in Africa. You understand? Because let's say we have a good leader in Africa, we can even do more than the people that is living in UK. You understand what I mean? But in Africa, when you want to do something, you don't have any leader, to help you out for the funding, this and that. But here, when you are a proprietor or something for the organization, there's a way you can apply for the funding. That one is because they have a good leader that think of other people's ideas. But in Africa, if you have so many ideas in your brain, there's nothing you can do because there's no funding for you. There's no way you can get funds to move on. So all the things you are just telling us, I'm listening to you, I understand you, but it can work where you can get a capital, where people can help you out. But in UK, you can't do that here.
This is part of why we've got this group going now. Try and help people get to that funding. Get things happening, because
Can I respond to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Can I respond to that?
Please do.
Okay.
All right. Madam I must admit, I was slightly confused because you first of all started off with it's difficult to do it here. It's easier to do it in Africa, and then you seem to reverse that a bit to say it can't be done in Africa because you don't have good leaders. Let me say this: I don't care where you are, whether you're in the UK or whether you're in Africa. I'm a strong believer that where there is a will, there is a way. Now, let me say this: when I was an employee, I started a company. I'm not sure how much they told you about me, but my husband and I run a group of small companies in the UK. And there is nothing spectacular about either of us. And if we can do it, you can do it. Now, when I started our first company, I was working full-time in a trade union. I was an employment law advisor in a trade union. And I saw a gap in the market and I started a company while I was working full-time. Now, when I started that company, initially it was paying a little bit, and then it increased. It was matching my salary. As time went on, it doubled my salary. And then I was forced to give up my job because my son was diagnosed with autism. And so I had to give up my job. And so I faced the company full time. From that company, we have added other companies. My husband has started a law firm, and he does that. The company I started at the time was an HR consultancy. We then went into setting up a company that is a business management consultancy for people who are in foreign countries, places like Africa, who are doing business with the West. My husband then started a legal magazine for African lawyers globally. Let me tell you, it can be done. Where there is a will, there is a way. Money is the least of your problems. When it comes to starting a business, money is, take it from me, money is the least of your problems. What you need are ideas. When you have ideas, people who recognize the idea that you have, they will invest in your business. Money is the least of your problem. You need the ideas, you need the will to do it. You need the ability to pay the price and do the work. What I find is a major problem is people are not willing to pay the price. They want to be able to sit and watch Netflix for hours on end and their omnibus edition of EastEnders. But if you are going to be successful in business, you're going to have to come away from all that. Spend time investing in yourself, studying, practicing, getting a mentor, relating to somebody who is doing exactly what you want to be successful in and asking them to show you. All these things take time, but money is the least of your problems. Trust me.
So can I come in again? Can I talk, love? Give me 2 minutes. Please, I want to talk about, you talk about your partner. You are lucky. It's not all the women that have that type of the partner.
I understand that, yeah.
Yes, number one. Number two, you are talking about the time too. Yeah, that one is correct. You are talking about the ideas. A lot of people have a lot of ideas, but they don't get information. Look at the way we are doing this thing now. If I don't get the information, I will not know something is going on here. It's not everybody that can connect from one group to another group. Like me, I've been in so many organizations in UK. So many. Even they call me for the, what do they call it? International Women Speak for America. I normally go every year. But it's not everybody that have the opportunity to go there. And it's not everybody that have the opportunity to know what is going on from one place to another. So what I'm trying to say is that everything depends on your destiny. And everything too depends on the way you move to the people that can assist you, that can help you. What I mean by the leader, because you are talking about it depends on your, if the money is this, the money is part of it. If you have the idea, if you don't have the capital to do something, how are you going to move on? There are so many doctors, lawyers, engineering, businesswomen, but they don't have something to start with. It's not only idea, it's part of it. Money to the capital too is part of what can make somebody to grow and to make you move on in life. So I'm not agree with that.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay, then can I go another question, please, for me? Is that okay?
Go for one more,
I'm sure
and then we'll go to the next section.
Okay, does any other person want to ask anything? Let me just, because I'm one of the, I'm a host, so Can we take questions from any other person while we have more understanding? I'm sure maybe with time, Yinka, there will be more understanding, and then you could get Bebe's personal contact, you know, for more info. For things that we can't deal with here, everything, we can always exchange contacts. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. And I can ask before, or can I go for it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And mine is not more. It's more of a question. I think maybe I just want to find out, because people are a bit weary about the tax system in the UK. Do you understand? I've heard people say, and all that are more like, you know, the way we're taxed. I was even thinking maybe that's some of the things that Yinka, you know, meant, like, you know, like in Africa, in Nigeria, if I must say, the tax system is not really centralized and all that, so you could still feel that you're making good income, whereas you are not really paying the enough tax or what you are supposed to pay. But here, where we have everything like centralized and all that, what would you say? Does that not discourage people? Like, okay, if I make this money, this big chunk is going to get out of, you know, that money. You know, I don't know if there's anything you want to enlighten up more about that.
Sorry, I'm not sure whether I understand the question. Are you saying people are afraid to make more money because they'll pay more tax?
Not me,
No.
to be honest, but I've heard that. So I don't know if there's any, if it's just a myth, or if there's any.
I gotta say that's a first on me. I've never heard that one before.
Okay, let's ignore it. Yeah, but I've actually heard, you know, not yet. Like, okay, especially for people doing more like 2 jobs and all that. It's like, why are you doing
you actually, if you're self-employed, you're actually gonna pay less tax.
Oh,
less
really?
tax.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for that information. Yeah, thank you.
and also, if you're an employee, you're taxed at source. You don't even see the money. You're taxed at source. Before you even get it, the government has taken theirs. That doesn't happen when you're self-employed.
Okay.
So thank you so much for the comments. I think the main thing to just draw out from there is that mentality seems to play a very big part. Available resources are not comparable across the continent. So I do think it is something, because I've heard the same thing mentioned to me before, the idea of over in Nigeria, for example, because that's where I know people don't pay taxes in the strictest sense as you do over here. But I do think it is something of there's this mentality of the government's taking my money in order to do something when it comes to paying tax. But then when it boils down to it, because my mother's also been here for a good couple of decades, when you're traveling around on the roads and you're going around and going to the hospital and doing everything in life that you want to do, people enjoy that part. And it's something comes with having to enjoy those sides of things when it comes to living for. I've lived in places that tax way higher than the UK, and people still become millionaires. So I do think it is definitely a matter of resources. I do think feeling that you have access to the resources, and knowing, as you said, if you hadn't heard about this talk, you wouldn't have been able to hear what we had to say today. And it's definitely an element of opportunity and luck. When it boils down to it, so long as you're prepared and you have the idea, if someone thinks they're going to make money from your idea, they will invest. I genuinely believe that. That's just a personal thing from me. So I don't know if Bebe has anything to add to that. I think the different people that she mentioned,
I agree with that
totally. Idea that you have a producer, a distributor, and consumer. I feel as though you may start off as a distributor and a consumer, the capitalist sort of funding you. But by the end of the day, with time, business builds up, and I believe you end up in a different position. I genuinely understand your frustration when it comes to wanting to start something, because I've been in that boat. I'm still in that boat sometimes, where I feel like if only someone gave me £1,000 to start this thing, it will really kick off. But goodness knows, you've got to start from somewhere. So thank you so much for everyone who's been engaged so far. We're going to get to the nitty gritty of our talk today, because I'm aware that obviously our schedule is changed a bit. I don't imagine we'll have to go over by any more than 5 or 10 minutes, but I completely understand if anyone feels the need to leave at 5:30 on the dot. So Bebe, I'll let it go to you. so you can get through to the step-by-step guides that you have for us.
Okay, so let's start with how to start a small business. Let's do that. Now, one of the issues that people have is they say to me, Bebe, you know what? I'm sick of my job and I really want to start a business. But you know what? I have no idea what kind of business to go into. And one of the things that I would discourage you from doing is going into a business just because your friend went into that business and they seem to be doing well. I would encourage you to look at different things that I'm going to mention now when you decide, when deciding what kind of business to go into. One, go into a business that you are passionate about, especially if it's your first business. Go into a business that you are passionate about. Look at the things that what drives you? What makes you want to get up in the morning? And it could be anything. For some people, it's being able to give other people advice. For some people, it's writing. For some people, it's cooking. Whatever it is, whatever you are passionate about, that is what you should go into. And the reason why I say that is because passion is a force of itself. And it's such an important force in business. One, people with passion are infectious. They're infectious. If you've ever heard anybody who is passionate about their business idea talk about it, you can't ignore them. You can't ignore them. Two, passion sells. Because people like to be around people who are passionate. And passion sells itself. It sells the product itself. Three, passion helps you during the dark times. And believe me, there will be many dark times in business. Many times you want to give up. Many times when things are not working well. Many times when, sometimes you get ripped off. All kinds of things. But passion is something that it keeps you together during the bad times. It gives you a reason to go on. It's an internal thing. So it's almost beyond your control. So go into something that you're passionate about. Two, go into something that you are, an industry that you are knowledgeable about, that you know about and you understand it. So if you are going into a business that you don't know anything about, then take the time to learn about it. So for instance, we have a friend who, I think he was a doctor, and then he decided he wanted to go into property development. He went for about 6 months. He was shadowing a guy who was successful in property development. So go into something that you know about inside out, or you have the skills for inside out. Don't just go into something because everybody else is going into. We tend to have a herd mentality, particularly in the Black community. We tend to have a herd mentality when it comes to choosing a business. Don't go into it just because everybody else is doing it. And there's actually a saying that if you see a crowd, it's already too late. So I wouldn't even do that. If everybody's doing it, I'm not going to do it. But thirdly, and this I think is something that we don't often do, take the time to discover your gift or your talent. If there's ever been an era where talents and gifts are being monetized, this is it. This is it. Now, when we were growing up, we grew up in Africa, we're in Nigeria. You couldn't tell your parents that you wanted to study anything less than, other than you either wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, that kind of thing. You couldn't tell them you wanted to be a comedian. You couldn't tell them you wanted to be a dancer. They would withdraw you from uni, or they wouldn't even pay your fees. But this is the day when you can monetize your gift, and it will yield financial results. Oftentimes, people don't know what their gift is. So here's a hint. Your gift is something that comes to you naturally, that you enjoy doing, and that somebody else might struggle to do. It gives you a great sense of satisfaction or self-worth, or self-worth, and it makes you do it. You do it well. It makes you look good. That's your gift. So again, some people, they know how to sing. Some people know how to write songs. Some people know how to write books. Some people know how to tell a story. Just storytelling. Some of you know who Les Brown is. Les Brown has made millions from his gift of being able to tell stories. Just that, just telling stories in a way that it moves people. So take the time to discover your gift and then learn, go and find someone who can teach you how to make money from that gift and use that to go into a business. We are in the information age, ladies and gentlemen. There's hardly anything that you know how to do that somebody is not willing to pay for it. If it adds value to their lives, they're willing to pay for it. I have a friend who is making money from teaching women how to survive divorce, how to find life after divorce. And she does seminars on that. And she makes a lot of money from that. There is hardly anything that you know about that cannot be monetized. So once you've decided you're going to go into business, then look at the reasons, things that might stop you from going into business. Is it a skills and knowledge gap? Then go get the skills, go get the knowledge. Whatever you need to do to get the skills and the knowledge. And I'm sorry, there is no excuse. In this day of the internet, there's no excuse. Is it money? Like my sister said earlier on. Is it a funding gap? There are ways in which to raise capital. There are organizations that provide grants. There are organizations that provide loans. Let me speak about my own personal things that I do in relation to raising finance. I have a group of investors who have money and they're looking for businesses to invest the money in. So what we do is somebody approaches us and they say, okay, I have a business idea. And we have we hold something like a dragon's den. I call my investors and say, look, this guy who has a business idea, do you want to hear his pitch? If you want to hear his pitch, if you decide to invest, then that's fine. In the last 2 months, I've done that for 2 people, and neither of them were in the UK. They were both in Africa. So there are ways in which you can raise finance and funding. There are ways. Even friends and family, you'll be amazed at friends and family that have money if you ask. The thing is, a lot of us don't even ask. They have money and they don't know what to do with the money. Because how much is your bank giving you by way of interest? Nothing. Complete waste of time putting your money in the bank. So people are looking for places where they can make their money work hard for them, which is what capitalists do. Rather than working hard for their money, they make their money work hard for them. So believe me, there are people who are willing to fund if you have the right idea. So once you've sorted out the things that are stopping you from going into business and you've decided, okay, I'm going to go into business, the next thing you need to do is market research. Now, there's certain things that your market research will show you, and I just want to concentrate on a couple of them because of time. The first one is you need to find out, is there actually a market for this product? Does anybody even want this product? And this is important. Market research is very, very important. I'd rather do market research for 2 years regarding a business I want to go into, and then discover at the end of it that actually there's no market for this product, than to rush into the business, waste my time, my energy, and my money, and come to the same result. So market research, no matter how long it takes you, is time well spent. But the first question you have to ask is, does anybody want this product? And don't think that the whole world is your customer, because they're not. It doesn't matter how universal your product is. Even if it's something as universal as water, the whole world is not your client. Because some people like fizzy water, some people like still water, some people like flavored water. You know, every product has a demographic. So your job as part of your market research is to discover, first of all, does anybody want this product? If they do, who does? Who wants the product? And then go and position yourself in front of the people that want that product. And when I say position yourself, I'm talking geographically, but more importantly, particularly in these times, online. Where are those people? And position yourself in front of them. So here's what I mean. So let's talk about geographically. If, for instance, I was selling African food stuff, yeah, in London, there's no point in me, even if they give me a free shop in Mayfair or Chelsea, there's no point me going to open up a shop there, because my customers are not there. My customers, for those of you who know London, my customers are in Woolwich, they're in Peckham, they're in Stoke Newton, they're in those kind of places. So find out who wants to buy your product and look for a way in where you can position yourself in front of them. Now, the same thing online. So let's say I'm doing a product that appeals to young people. Let's say I'm selling sneakers to young people or hoodies to young people. Where are young people online? What social media do young people use? So if I'm selling something to teenagers, there's something like Instagram. That's where they are. TikTok. That's where they are. Those kind of places. Snapchat. That's where they are. There's no point, if I have a product that appeals to young people, there's no point me going to advertise it on LinkedIn, because young people hardly ever go to LinkedIn. Even the professional ones, they hardly ever go there. They're on other mediums. So you must find out, where are my clients, and position your products and services and market them to exactly where they are. Okay. The next thing that your product your market research should show is, how much are clients willing to pay for this product? And don't underestimate it. Don't play yourself down. One of the mistakes we often do is we think that we go and look for how much our competitors are charging, and we think that if we undercut our competitors, that would drive people to our product. That's not necessarily true. If your product is adding value to people's lives, even if it costs more, they will pay for it. I can assure you that. There is nothing like a product that is too expensive. Nothing like that. All you have to do is make sure you find the client that is willing to pay for your product. So take the example of somebody who goes to Rolls-Royce to buy a car. And Rolls-Royce says the Rolls-Royce is 100,000. And they say, but a Toyota is not as expensive as that. A Toyota is less. Clearly that person is not your client. Then let them go to Toyota. But there are people who can afford to buy a Rolls-Royce. Look for them and sell your product to them. Okay? So find out, how much are people willing to pay? And going back to what I said earlier, the more problems that your product solves and the more questions that it answers, the more people are willing to pay for it. The more they're willing to pay for it. Okay? So those are the kind of things that you need to be looking at by way of market research. Then you look at, okay, how much do I need to set up this business? And oftentimes we're still stuck in the traditional mindset. Oh, I need an office. I need a secretary. No. We're not doing business like that anymore. There are multi-million-pound businesses being run from people's kitchen tables nowadays. So I'm a strong believer of keep your profit high and your overhead low. What can I do without? Do I really need to go and get an office? Do my clients really need to see me? If they don't need to see me, then let me just use one corner of my bedroom and be running it from there. So how much will I need? What will I need money for? Some of the things that you will need money for: stationery, so like your letterheads, your business cards, your marketing material. If you do need to get an office, then you will need money for your premises. You will need money for professional services. And can I encourage you, do not scrape or scrimp on professional services. They might be expensive, but they're expensive for a reason. They save you time and money. So you will need a lawyer. You will need, if you can't afford an accountant, you will need a bookkeeper. Your professional services are very, very important. And if you get that wrong, it will cost you a lot. You will need money for, perhaps if you're a professional, if you have, if there are things that your profession demands, so a lot of professions demand that you keep up to date with your, what's the word?
Memberships and insurances.
That's it. Your membership and insurances. Thank you so much. So those kind of things will cost you money. You might need money to wine and dine clients. You might need money for that. Depending on the industry that you're in, you will need money for that. You will also need money for marketing. Even if you're doing all your marketing online, you will need a website at the very least. Your website costs money. And oftentimes when people think about websites, they just, the creation of website also costs money. Getting a domain name also costs money. And depending on what you're using your website for. So for instance, my website is a commercial website. In other words, people can buy products on my website. So that costs more than the average, you know, just simple website page. Those kind of things. So you need to take all that into account. Those are the kind of things that you will need to start your business with, the kind of things that you need money for to start your business with. Then, like I said, you will need to be able, you need to market your product. Now, having a business is one thing. Marketing is a completely different science. And if you don't understand marketing, you may have a good business idea and you may have a good product. But if you don't know how to get it in front of the people that need to buy it or can pay for it, you will not sell. Another thing that I would encourage you to do in this day and age in particular is collaborate. Collaborate. One of the issues we have is everybody is doing their own little thing in their own little corner of the world, and they're doing it to death. That day is over. Look for other people who can help you spread your reach. So for instance, I have a seminar or a webinar coming up on the 9th of September called How to Start a Small Business. So obviously I have my own list. I have my own community. That's my database, and I've marketed it to them. But I know other people who also have their own list of people. So what I do is I've approached them and I say to them, okay, you market this of people, of whoever you bring in, I'll give you a percentage. They're happy because they're making money for doing practically nothing. And then their clients will also get some more information about how to set up a business. And I get a greater reach. I may make less from them, but I'd rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing. So look for who can help you and collaborate with you. For example, you're a caterer. Who could help you? Who can you collaborate with? The people who have the same kind of clients as you are video guys, photographers, planners, cake makers, hall decorators. They all have the same clientele that you have. So approach each and every one of them. Get a group of them who are reliable, affordable, and reputable, and begin to work with them. And just like I said, I did, tell them, listen, when I go and pitch to a client, I would tell the client that not only can I do their catering, we can also do their video, we can do their photographs, we can decorate the hall for them. And every bit of business that I bring your way, I'm taking 20%. They're happy because they get more clients and you make more money. Rather than you just go and pitch for your catering and maybe make £500, you can end up making so much more. So these are the things that you do to become successful in business. A word of warning. If you think you're working hard as an employee, let me tell you, you will work 10 times harder as a business owner. So yeah, you will, definitely. You will have to pay the price. You'll have to pay the price. So if you're somebody who then you might want to rethink the whole business thing because you will work 10 times harder. I'm very conscious of the time, so I think, should I leave it there?
Yes, thank you so much. Honestly, that's been an absolute roller coaster, just ramming through so much information in there. I feel as though you've given us like a really concise version of your course. I'm wondering if that's a different product for you now. 30-minute how to start a business talk. So I'll just mention before we go into wrapping up, actually, that there were just 2 questions that popped up while you were speaking, and there was something, someone made a comment that as much as I agree with the speaker's ideology of money being less of an issue to start a business, I've never seen any business that has started without capital. Think or plan around your capital. Is that something that you agree with? Simple.
No, I
agree.
What? I'm not saying you don't need money. All right.
Yes.
Although, having
Yes.
said that, there are some businesses that have started without money. There are some online businesses that have started without money. I know I can think of at least 2 people who were selling stuff on eBay and some other platforms, and they didn't have a penny, and they started like that. But I'm not saying you don't need capital, but what I'm saying is that capital is not the issue, and there are other people who are willing to invest in your business if you have a good business idea. There is access to capital. People often think that if they don't have the money, if they personally don't have the money, then they can't get the business off the ground, and that is wrong. That's not true. There are other people. Let me take myself for example. There are other people who are willing, including myself, to put money into somebody's business idea if it's a viable business idea. When Facebook started, it didn't start with any money. Have you watched the movie?
Yes.
Started. Yeah. There are others that I started with very little capital. When I started my consultancy, I had very, very little money. I think the whole thing cost me less than £1,000, a lot less than £1,000. Within it had grown. So the point is there are ways in which you can raise finance. Don't think because I don't have personal money, I'm not going to be able to do this. It's not true.
Thank you so much for that. I did want to add on though, when you were talking about step by step into starting a business, something that had been mentioned to me was that when it comes to pricing your business, don't think you are your customer. Some businesses that obviously you're reflective of your customer base, and so you're serving yourself as such, which can be convenient, but a lot of the time your customer has a lot more money to spend than you do. Yeah. So rather than pricing your products thinking how much would I pay for this, consider only what the customer is willing to pay for it, because at the end of the day it seems the worth of items are not attached to the inherent hardcore value of the item, but what the consumer is willing to pay for it. So just something to consider. But I'm conscious of the time, and I'm so pleased that you were willing to sort of like wrap that up that way. Would you like to mention, as you've got a whole host of products, I'm wondering if there's any that are targeted to us that you like to mention to us before we wrap up the call?
Yes. Okay. So a couple of things I'd mention. One is my book, How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur. And I think I've sent Bumi the cover of that, but that's available on Amazon for $12.99. But I'm happy to sell it if you either go to my website. You can't do it on my website. It would be the same price. If they let you know or Bumi know, I'm happy to do it for £10 for everybody who's on this call, inclusive of postage. I'll do it for £10 just for today, not tomorrow. It's $12.99 on Amazon, but I'll do it for £10. So that's the first one: How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and it's full of invaluable tips to show you that it can be done. If we did it, you can do it. I can assure you. So that's one. Two, like I mentioned, I have a seminar coming up on the 9th of September. It's a webinar, 2-hour webinar on how to start a small business, which will expand quite a bit on some of the things that I've mentioned today. And that's £40. And I can send the details to you if you want to register for that. But I think, again, I'm in a generous mood. So I think, and again, for the listeners for today, I'm happy to do that for £35.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Do you mean that before we can attend the seminar, we are going to pay £35?
Yes.
Yes.
That is business. You are doing business already now. That's
there
good.
You go. That's how it happens. That's how you get the income stream.
Well, I may just like to mention that inviting Bebe is someone I know personally and all that. She's done this free. So coming on this platform, it's been an honor to have her. She's not someone that is easy to get, and you can see that from the what she's how far we've gone, what she's delivered to us already. So we have not paid her a penny. And all that. I mean, I must mention that. So, Bibi, we appreciate that. Just to let some people know, you know, we may think, oh, she's already doing business. So she's been kind enough to, and it's been an honor, you know, for us on this platform, for Khan and for myself, for Bibi to oblige to be on this platform. So, Bibi, thank you.
My pleasure and my honor, really.
Thank you very much for your encouragement.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, Bibi. Really, really awesome stuff. Thank you.
And I apologize again for the mix-up. I don't know if it's senility. I'm not sure, but I apologize.
That's okay.
I was just wondering, Bibi, before we close off, do you offer mentoring at all, or do you have people who mentor?
Yes, I do offer mentoring, but I only mentor 5 people a year, no more than that. And I have a mentoring package. One of it is the gold one is £999.
Okay.
And then the silver one is £750. So yes, I do mentor, and I take you through a 6-month period of setting up your own business, and by the end you will set up your business.
Fantastic. So we've got people asking what your website address is and your Twitter account and such.
Okay.
I was just going to mention that we've got that. We finally set up our Facebook page. So what I'll do is, Bibi's going to mention it now, but I'll also put it onto our Facebook page so that you can go back there and retrieve all the information, and you're not trying to sort of remember everything from the call. But you can go, Bibi, and let us know how we can get to you.
Okay, so my website address is www.bbeclement, that's B-E-B-E, Clement, CLEMENT.com. My Twitter handle, and please connect with me. My Twitter handle is @Bebe Clement, and Instagram is Bebe_Clement. So please connect with me, because there's always lots of information, lots of tips that will help you on your life's journey, not just business. So it's worth doing.
Yeah, may I mention that while you're connecting with Bibi, if you, I mean, it may be a reminder if you could just kind of like mention Khan. It's like, oh, this is we met from the Khan program and all that. But feel free to connect with Bibi anytime. Yeah, Bibi, sorry, just one question, just to ask. Yeah. You say that you offer mentoring, and
yes,
not more than 5 a year. Goodness me. That means we have, I mean, already I'm sure that we've got a few people already thinking of joining that program. Does it mean that people would have to wait, or, you know, what is the waiting? I mean, just can you kind of say 1 or 2 things? I'm just wondering, 5 a year, that's so limiting, you know?
Yeah, I can't do more than that, because it's quite intense. So I can't do more than that. I really don't have time. Wow. I think I've got two vacancies. Somebody's coming to an end now. So I've got 2 vacancies at the moment.
Okay, so that 1 year does not have, it is not like January, December and all that. Could begin any time of the year.
It could begin at any time. Yeah, okay. It's just a rolling 6 months. It can begin at any time.
Rolling. Okay, then. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who stayed on the line, engaged with the content. I really hope it has brought you value. So I won't take too much of your time, but just as a wrap up, with regards to the Khan Wigan project, which is hosting these series of talks, we are now officially on Facebook. So you can find us CAHN Wigan Project. If you search for that on Facebook, you'll find us. We put in a lot of the resources that we get from these talks. So what we're doing is we're making sure we have sort of like a 1-pager as a summary from the talk, so you can actually just go there and look at the document or look at the poster and see what it is that we're learning. We want people to come out and say what it is that they would like. For example, looking at financing for businesses of several, of different levels, looking at mentoring, looking at what is available in your local area. We are trying to make this as useful as possible. We can only do that with people telling us what they want, what they need. So without your input, it literally dies a death. So please have no hesitance to get in touch with us. You can send an email to Bumi directly. If you would rather speak to her directly, then go on Facebook. It's Bumi bumi@khan.org. I'm just putting it in the chat. So it's bumi@khan.org.uk. She's more than happy. She's incredibly responsive. And I have to say thank you to Bumi as well, because she's gone from obviously being a volunteer to being a project coordinator of the Khan Wigan project. But even then, she spends so much time making sure this happens. And all of our practitioners that have come through are through her connection. She's a well-connected lady. See her, she looks nice and sweet and so innocent, but she knows people. So if you have questions, please have no hesitance, have no fear, get in touch. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to have another talk in about 2 weeks. We'll be sharing it. We're going to be sharing it on our Facebook group, again, via all our different channels. And we're so excited for Black History Month while it's coming up. We've got some exciting contents we're going to be building. So again, thank you very much for your time. I really hope that's been valuable. Please give us some feedback on Facebook, send it to the email. Let us know. Let us know if this is any good or if there's anything different. If you think this was absolutely rubbish, which is impossible, but if you thought it was absolutely rubbish, please let us know so we can give feedback and let people know.
Yeah,
So,
can I just say something before I go?
Papa is there. Maybe you want to recognize Papa for coming. Yeah, go. Yeah.
Bibi wanted to make a comment before everyone goes.
Sorry, real quick. I meant what I said, that if you do have a business idea and funding is an issue, please let me know, because I can help you with that if you've got the right idea. And again, don't let it deter you. I've even just remembered, if you remember J.K. Rowling, the woman who wrote all the Harry Potter books, that woman, when she wrote Harry Potter, she was a single parent, her marriage had just broken down, and she was on antidepressants. So we have no excuses.
Thank you so much. And as Bumi's just mentioned, Papa, who is on the line, I don't know if you can unmute yourself and just say hi. Papa is the host of the Talk I Talk program that is on Radio Africana. If you've never heard of it, please hit up Radio Africana online. It's a digital radio station. He's chewing right now.
Sorry, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. On his show yesterday, talking about the Khan Wigan project. He was so encouraging. He's been so empowering for the work that we're doing and helping us reach our community. We are here. We're trying so hard to collaborate, to ensure that we're getting partnerships. We are empowering ourselves together. So, Papa, thank you so much for joining us today as well. I hope you've been impressed by what you see.
And thank Bumi, as well as Bibi and yourself. That was fantastic and fabulous business presentation. It's so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll speak to you about Bibi as well, because I would like to speak with her sometimes.
No worries, we'll get you guys connected.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and I would like a copy of her book as well. So I'll send you payments. You know, if you send me, what does it call, a payment line, so that I can
send you her website so you can purchase it as needed, and you can get in touch and do the things you need to.
Fantastic. Okay.
And I'm sure Bibi would not mind. We could kind of exchange contacts and all that, you know.
Of course, by all means.
Yeah, thank you, Papa, for coming. Yeah,
thank you very much indeed.
All right, then. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Have a nice weekend.
Same to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Aisha, you can wrap.